Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we'll go through a bunch of the changelogs over the last few days just to see what's been going on with the game. Obviously they've had two quite large, I suppose, server maintenance times, but at least for me I haven't seen too many changes when it comes to the actual game itself. I did have a few bugs when it came to the UI stuff, but it looks like that might have been fixed. At least I didn't have any of the issues yesterday. So hopefully whatever fixes they did has improved some things. The game has been in a bit of an unstable state since the release of the last update, so hopefully we can get back on track when it comes to its stability, especially with the summer event coming up, which usually happens in August. The first server update was a simple one, and it fixed a bug that caused leaving a working aircraft on the airfield to be counted in the player statistics as a loss of the vehicle. So basically what would end up happening is if you left the vehicle in the battle, it was counted as a death, even though technically you didn't die. So kind of cock up your statistics. I'm hoping in the future, when it comes to service record itself, we can get some kind of revamp for it. Maybe it can show more statistics, maybe it can have a search function so you can see how well you've done in certain vehicles without having to scroll through the whole thing. I'm hoping that there are many things that they add to it, since it's one of those parts of War Thunder that hasn't really changed over the years. It's kind of just been sat where it is, and that's really about it. But yeah, generally, it is nice to see that they are at least fixing it. Hopefully that is signs of good things to come. They also had another update on the 4th of July, 2.17.0.50, and this fixed some cockpit instruments. So for the D3A1 and the B-17s, the cockpit instruments were not working. They just didn't function. And then on the Meteor F8 IAF, there was also an inoperative compass. This now has been fixed as well. So whatever was screwing those things up has now been fixed. And then on the 5th, there was a server update. This was straight after the maintenance that they had. And it seemed odd because the only thing in the changelog was the shape of the battle area in the Stalingrad ground battle locations has been changed. So they didn't seem to change too much overall. One thing to also mention when it comes to some of the new maps. So they brought back a lot of old configurations of maps. El Alamein has now its kind of south area back. Hergen Forest has more of its north area back with the 3 capture zones. And the real question is do you like these versions of the maps? There's also the Maginot Line smaller version. I feel like some of them work very well. Other ones just create a scenario where you're ending up fighting over 2 points, and one of them is kind of just left out by itself. So you only really compete over like maybe half of the map. The other part is very much secluded and away from everything, which can either be really good or really bad depending on the position of it. Like it can be really good for flanking, but if you go there and your team gets smashed in another area, it's very hard for you to actually go and get back and try and sort it out. It definitely feels like that on certain maps, but hopefully with more maps and more configurations, people will enjoy them more, and hopefully with more data we can get a few more I suppose better instances of maps in the future. They also did a pretty big It's Fixed today, and pretty much what that means is now that kind of makes sense to have that server update that we had previously. And they've added a ton of different things in game now, and some of them we've been waiting for a long time, and other ones is just a few bugs. So basically, one of the first things is they've corrected the crew replacement of a vehicle. Now, the way it's supposed to work when it comes to in terms of usefulness, from the lowest to the highest, you have secondary gunner, radio operator, commander, loader, primary gunner, driver. That basically means if, let's say, your loader dies, it will be replaced by a secondary gunner, radio operator, or commander, if they are available, and so on and so forth. Now, in a lot of cases, this didn't actually happen, such as areas where if a commander and loader were knocked out consecutively, the radio operator in your crew would take the place of the commander instead of the loader. So therefore they've actually fixed those bugs. Another thing as well is they've actually made it so AA guns, which usually are supposed to alternate their shots, now actually do alternate their shots. This includes the 2S6, the good old Tunguska. It can now alternating fire. It's 30mm of the 2A38, and also the M19 and M42 with their 40mm. Now usually you could alternate fire these ones, but it would take time for it to get used to it, meaning that it would start off non-alternating and then go into it. Now it should just straight go into alternating, which is absolutely fantastic. Also at the same time, there was a bug where in ground vehicles, if your barrel got destroyed and you're also running the option where you can see your barrel in your gunner sight, it would just take up your gunner sight even after it was not destroyed. So, even after repaired. I apologize. So now they've fixed that, so it should be a little bit easier to do. And also they fixed a few other things, including some general fixes to certain stuff. So the XM8, there was a bug with the lower anti-aircraft machine gun rotation speed when installing level 3 module with the additional protection. So that has actually been fixed. There's also another XM8 bug with the level 3 module where they had a lack of fire duplication when installing it. So it looks like they've fixed that. I don't see many people running that level 3 module. I suppose it doesn't give you too much additional armor, and also at the same time it gives you a bunch of additional weight. The terms, also the animation of the self-digging equipment has been fixed, so that's wonderful. I still need to find a situation where the self-digging stuff actually is useful. Generally, the only time I found it useful is if the battle kind of already is won, and I need to create a defensive position to be able to fight from if we get a counter-attack. The BTR-ZD, a bug with the absence of ESS release effect from the right side of the exhaust duct, has been fixed, which is nice. I didn't even realize that thing had ESS. The PG-Z04A, there was a bug with displaying of the guided ground-to-air guided missile in the modification window has been fixed, which is good. The IT-1, the overstated launcher repair time has been fixed on that. And then the 9P149 and the 9P157, a bug with blocking the optics, rotation, and brake of launcher drives has been fixed as well. So that's on stuff like the Sturm. So very happy to see that, since that vehicle needs all the help that it can get. The ZBD86, the underestimated brightness of IR illuminators have been fixed. So you'll be able to not see as well, I believe. The IS-7, a bug that caused rear machine guns to stop rotating during third-person view, has been fixed as well. So very small little bugs which have been fixed there, nothing huge, but obviously all useful. In aircraft, there was a bunch of different stuff. So a bunch of the fire bombs, a bug with the absence of the capture of the homing head, which appeared in some cases being dropped from level flight and pitching, has been fixed, which is good. On the MiG-27K, the operation of the Kyra camera in presets with the KH-29T and the CAB 500KR has been fixed. I've heard console individuals have been having issues with that for a long time. I wonder if that's fixed now when it comes to the camera, not just with the MiG-27, but stuff with the A4s with their guided bombs, where the camera just moves way too quickly, so it's pretty much impossible to lock onto a target. But hopefully there's been something done with that. When it comes to the F-4C, there was a bug whereby using the 2,000 pound Mark 84 bomb, the bomb on the left side and the bombs on the fuselage would place not on own pylons, so I'm guessing they were slightly off, which is quite funny. The B-18B for the Swedish, there was a bug with the X-ray view of the model of the gunner where it could be duplicated, so that's been fixed. The PE-3, there was a bug with the missile pylons on the left wing could stay on. That has been fixed. That's a same bug on a lot of vehicles, including the F4U4 and the Firebrand, and also there was a bunch of other ones that has already been fixed on that one. So I'm glad it's been fixed. I would really like to know what caused that one, because it seems so out of the blue compared to everything else. The P38L5LO and the Saab 21RB, A bug where the suspended weaponry menu and the amount of rounds in the container has been displayed incorrectly has also been fixed. And now the Panthers, the Cougar, and also the Demon and the F-11F1, which I believe is called the Tiger, but I might be wrong about that. All of those airplanes, the starting point of test flight has been changed from island to aircraft carrier, which makes sense because they're all naval vehicles. Apart from maybe the F-11, I'm not sure that F-11F is a naval vehicle. It was used by the Navy, so I'm guessing it was a naval vehicle. The IL-28, the position of the bomb bay for the Fab 1500 has been corrected, so it actually fits now. The F3D1, the same thing with the 2,000 pounds, but it's the weapon icon this time. And the P51K, the custom camouflage pattern, has been fixed on it, so that's good. I really like the P51K, by the way, even though it's basically the same as the other P51s. It's in a banger of a lineup for China. The 5.7 lineup for China is just fantastic in ground, so it complements it very well to with the TU2 that they have there. For Naval, there was a few changes as well. The 12412 and the 12412P, there was a bug where the radar capture zone follows the position of the AK-630 artillery units. That has been fixed. The Trento, Zara, and Pola, the Italian cruisers, settings of the fuse of the armor-piercing shell of the 203s have been corrected. So the delay is now 0.03 seconds instead of 0.01. The Gabbiano, the allowed launch angles of the left torpedo launcher has been corrected. There's a lot of very minute small bugs which are fixed in this one. A bug where a HE shell might fail to cock on water and continue its path in it without losing speed has been fixed. Now shells with instantaneous contact fuses always detonate when hitting the water. A bug that caused a shell with 0 fuse delay not to detonate on impact has also been fixed. And the Marlborough, of all vehicles, the excessively lengthy water pumping has been corrected, with the compartment flooding mechanics, water entry and pumping rates have also been reconfigured, so you won't be sat there trying to get out water for a very long time. The 100mm 70cm51, the kinetic energy calculation for shells with the F55 bottom fuse has been corrected as well, so a lot of minute, as I said, bug fix for Naval. There's also a bunch of game mechanics ones. These ones are much more important, I suppose, because they affect more stuff. So there's a bug that caused the camera to rotate to the side of the barrel when entering and or exiting binoculars when the mouse look was turned on has been fixed. This one is more of an issue with the way that the kind of binoculars turn. They don't turn with the camera, they turn instead with the gun itself, which I believe is the bug that they fixed. I thought that that may be not a bug and they just wanted to make it a bit more realistic, but I'm guessing not. A bug where the transferring place changing has been carried out in the wrong order when one crew member died has been fixed. That's what we talked about before. And a bug where when trying to turn on the commander sight on a vehicle that is underwater, a hint about turning on the double commander controlling mode appeared has been fixed. Yeah, instead you just drown now. The lack of the reward for victory in the EC and SB mode, if the player was in the battle for less than 15 minutes, has been fixed. That would have been a bit of an issue. Kind of annoying on that, but luckily they fixed it. The crash when trying to take off in an A7E after failed takeoff in an F4C Phantom has been fixed. What does that even mean? So when you crashed when trying to take off in an A7E after a failed takeoff in an F4C has been fixed. Like, do you mean the game crashed? I have no idea what that sentence means. Appearance of vehicles in each other when quickly switching nations in the ground vehicles hangar has been fixed. Yeah, a lot of people have been doing that to get funny screenshots of certain vehicles. And yeah, I mean, I suppose you can do it, or you can just use Photoshop and just, you know, basically just, I can't remember, you can key like a turret from one vehicle and just stick on another. Like, it's quite easy to do, and it looks a lot better as well. A bug with the inability to respawn after losing a vehicle has been fixed as well. and the incorrect displaying of the vehicle models in the replays with rewind function has been fixed, which is good. I've actually been using the rewind quite a lot, mainly to go more forward in replays, but it seems to work pretty well, so I haven't had too many issues with it. A bug which caused the texture of a broken barrel to appear in the cannon sight has been fixed, which is the one that we talked about before. And on graphics, the appearance of the artifacts on the thermal imager at high levels of graphic has been fixed, so it should look a bit more clearer. The artifacts from various smoke effects on Mac with an NVIDIA GPU have been fixed, and the artifacts in the form of tracks and other vehicle elements appearing in ground and sea battles has been fixed. We'll see if that's the case or not. I did actually run into a new bug yesterday after this update, and it was a smoke which didn't disappear. It just stayed there the whole time. It was very interesting. It stayed there for about 5 minutes. So we'll have to see if that happens again, so I can actually get it recorded and sent off. But that was a very odd one, and obviously a little bit game breaking. There was also some achievements and appearances changed, so the conditions for obtaining the Royal Navy decal has been clarified. The list of vehicles has been replaced with the requirements for British carrier-based aircraft. Makes sense, because if they want to add stuff to it, they can do. There was also missing localization of the titles, the Cavalier, the Order of the Liberation, and the Chevalier of the Order of Merit of France. These have been fixed, which is good. And they changed some sound things again, which I'm not too happy about, at least personally. The volume of the regassing sound of enemy allied tanks of the Challenger series has been decreased, so it's not as loud. The playback logic of enemy allied aircraft engine and cannon sounds has been adjusted to avoid situations where no sound has been played, and the engine sounds of the Player's Tank T80 series has been narrowed by panorama and corrected by frequencies. Previously, there were situations where the sound of the T-80's own engine made you think there was an enemy tank nearby. And I kind of feel like that's the same with a lot of vehicles that I use, but that's more just getting used to the new sounds. Like the Dardo is incredibly loud for what it is, and I always feel like there's somebody near me. But it's nice to see that they changed that on the T-80. The plane sound of enemy and allied aircraft, there was an issue when this update first came out, and it was you would only hear enemy aircraft if they were super close to you, within like a kilometer or 1.5 kilometers. And I talked about this before, and it seems like we've gone back to that point where you can't hear aircraft unless you're right next to them. And this is a problem because, at least for people like me who can't really see too well. And, we have to focus on multiple things at the same time when it comes to ground forces. If you can't use audio cues, then you're kind of screwed. So I'm hoping that gets increased. I saw it in the datamine the other day that they lowered it when it comes to the distance that you can hear it from, and I see that as a negative change. So I hope that they revert that one. But overall, nice to see a bunch of bugs fixed. Hopefully we get more of these. Hopefully, finally, this patch can be stable at some point after many weeks of it not being, and everybody can have a pretty decent time. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman675, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Jerry Prevolt, Megadino King, Orange Tail, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Uncle Bean, Sem Arslan, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.